Naval Ravikant and Joe Rogan podcast summary. There is a need to maintain a balanced perspective in life and to take on many different roles and experiences. Specialization is not the way to go, and it is important to maintain a beginner's mind in order to start over and make progress. It is important to be curious and ask why, and to look for aha moments when you connect two things together that you hadn't before. It is also important to take on different roles and experiences, such as school, war, business, and philosophy, in order to have a full life. Talking to kids, it is important to acknowledge that many questions do not have answers. Though it is possible to have answers for some questions that have been thought through, there are times when it is not possible to know the answer, such as the meaning of life or how we got here. With the advancement of technology, it is now possible to have access to external sources of information, such as books, blogs, tweets, etc. However, this doesn't mean that all the information is valuable, and instead of reading a lot of books, it can be more beneficial to read a few books multiple times. Social media can be a double-edged sword, as it is a way to display the best aspects of one's life, while it can also make people miserable, as compliments can easily be cancelled out by one insult. Celebrity comes with unique problems that many people do not anticipate, such as the lack of privacy, unwanted attention, and the pressure to uphold a certain image. People often want to become famous for the benefits it brings, but it can come with downsides. It can be intrusive, and it is not always healthy to interact with people who don't take into account the personal lives of those they approach. On the other hand, anonymity is a privilege, and it is a choice people make when they pursue fame. Nevertheless, it can be rewarding, such as when people are recognized for their achievements, and when they get the opportunity to connect with their fans. Happiness is a choice and can be learnt, even by simply adopting a mindset of being a happy person and living up to it. There are hundreds of techniques to help with this, one of which is social consistency, where a person can use their own past pronouncements to stick to their goals. Social contracts are powerful. For example, if someone wants to give up drinking, they can tell everyone to hold them accountable. Happiness is also like nutrition, fitness, health, and making money in that it is a choice. People can be held responsible for their own happiness, but this may be unpopular. People may need to look at their own desires and work out what they truly want and focus on that. Having too many desires can lead to unhappiness, so it is important to pick one overwhelming desire and focus on that. High performance in any area requires a clear, calm, and collected mind, so it is important to also take time to relax and take breaks. We live in an age of infinite leverage, where our actions can be multiplied 1,000-fold, whether through broadcasting, investing, delegating, or coding. This means that clear, mindful decision-making has increased importance, as it can lead to better outcomes and greater influence on more people. To operate at peak performance, it is necessary to learn how to manage the mind, just as one would need to manage and train the body. Low stress is more important than diet, and allowing one obsession while learning to let other things go is key. Output is not linear, and is based on the quality of the work put in. It is more like a lion hunting than grazing like a cow. Machines should work 9 to 5, but humans are not meant to, and should work in intervals of training, sprinting, resting, and reassessing. More and more people are going to be working for themselves, having their own businesses, being able to trade and transact and communicate with each other as equals and not be tied to a single firm. This is the future of work, where more and more people are going to be working for themselves and owning their own piece of the business. They won't be tied to a single employer and instead will have the freedom to take part in a variety of transactions with different people and businesses, enabling them to gain financial freedom. Technology is making it easier to communicate, transact, and rate each other, allowing for an atomization of the firm. This means that people will be able to pursue their own business goals, allowing them to gain the financial freedom they need to retire. The information revolution has made it easier to communicate, connect, and cooperate, enabling people to work for themselves in a more flexible and creative way. Automation is often seen as an apocalyptic force, but it has been happening since the dawn of time, freeing people up for new, more creative work. Although it is impossible to predict what kinds of jobs will be created, the transition is happening slowly, with record low unemployment. The ultimate dream is for people to be able to take up projects, be paid and rated, and then rest and reassess until they are ready for the next challenge. This is how people can be most productive, while still being part of a small, creative, and human-like group. The concept of universal basic income and the potential effects it could have on the economy. It is argued that a UBI would create a slippery slope into socialism and force entrepreneurs out, bankrupting the country. Providing people with money does not solve the problem of meaning and status, which can only be addressed through education, capability, and access to basic services. It is believed that adults can be re-educated quickly, and that the fear of artificial intelligence is overblown. It is argued that general AI is not coming anytime soon, as it requires the simulation of cells and is overly simplistic to model neuron as on or off. It is argued that there is no such thing as general intelligence, as it is contextual, and the burden of proof is on those who are peddling it. The debate is around the ability to recreate the intelligence and consciousness of humans through artificial intelligence. The approach of modeling the brain at a neuron level is discussed, but it is suggested that this is not enough and that the inner workings of the cell need to be modeled, as well as the biological needs and environment in order to truly replicate intelligence. However, this is seen as a difficult task, and it is suggested that even if a computer can beat someone at chess, this does not mean that it can do creative tasks. It is concluded that automation will eventually replace non-creative jobs, leaving the creative pursuits for humans. Universal basic income has been proposed as a way to provide people with the necessities to get by in life, while also attempting to reduce the negative effects of capitalism. This would involve providing people with a certain level of income that would guarantee food, shelter, and other necessary resources, while preventing the slide to socialism. However, there are concerns that this could lead to an increasing demand for money, and that people would vote for politicians who offer them more money, leading to bankruptcy. It is argued that the correct criticism of capitalism is its lack of providing equal opportunity, not equal outcome, and that free markets and free exchange are intrinsic to humans. It is also argued that socialism has not been able to work without violence, and that we must preserve the engine of progress that capitalism has brought us. The idea of income inequality comes from the concept of outcome inequality, which is driven by different choices made by individuals. Socialism comes from the heart, while capitalism comes from the head, as there are incentives to cheat in any system. Nassim Taleb has a unique perspective, where he believes that with family and close friends, one should be a socialist, and as the group of people grows, one should move towards capitalism. Society should strive to provide equal opportunities to everyone. However, it is important to note that different choices lead to different outcomes. Suggestion is made of a retraining program that would take place every 4, 6, or 10 years so that people can re-educate themselves in a profession with earning power. It is argued that this would be better for society than just relying on the dole. It is also argued that effort and thought inequality should be considered, and that success does not mean that someone stole from another person. The concept of white privilege is discussed, and it is argued that the problem is racism, not people who do not experience racism. It is highlighted that white-on-white violence is mostly perpetuated by elitist whites, and that the ability to broadcast makes it easier to signal. It is further argued that AI is creative but in a way that is trying to elicit a response and raise their social value. People have a newfound power to assemble mobs through social media, and this can be used to take snippets of conversations out of context. Society needs to understand that this is happening and to resist it by drawing their own boundaries and not get easily outraged. This is a new struggle for young people with no guidebook to help them navigate it. Our generation is the transition generation, witnessing a shift in media from a traditionally neutral platform to one that is now heavily influenced by tribalism, resulting in the power of a few large outlets and millions of independent people, who are all capable of being journalists. Social media platforms have taken on the liability of being seen as publishers, and have started to take down content due to pressure, which has resulted in them losing allies on both sides. Politicians are increasingly recognizing the power of social media platforms in influencing elections, leading to the potential for government control. This could manifest in the form of hearings and pressure tactics, which could lead to censorship of certain viewpoints. Despite Jack Dorsey's vision of freedom of speech, the other members of his organization may not agree. To ensure true freedom of speech, decentralized media that is not owned by a single entity is needed, but it will take time to create. GB is an example of an existing platform, but it is still not fully free speech and is heavily suppressed. Technology has been increasingly seen as a force that pushes left, due to industrial revolution technology that has enabled people to band together, and wards of the state. This is further supported by contraception and abortion, which are new technologies that were not possible thousands of years ago, and that empower individuals. However, there are now some technologies that are more rightward-leaning, such as encryption and 3D printing of guns. Universities, which are the arbiters of data and intellectualism, were first given credibility by the hard sciences, such as physics and mathematics. And then the social sciences such as economics and gender studies began to creep in and gain authority, which has led to a corruption of science. This has resulted in a war between the social and physical sciences, which is particularly noticeable in the gender as a social construct movement that is attacking evolutionary biology. In the social sphere, a struggle is going on in universities between physical sciences and other disciplines such as comedy and biology. Physical sciences are losing this war, and it is having a detrimental effect on research, with biologists having to make statements they know are not true to keep their jobs. Economics has already lost this battle, and evolutionary biology is now facing a difficult situation where reality and facts are not respected. Synthetic biology may end up in China due to the lack of grants, adulation, and respect for facts and research. Gun control is an example of a political battleground with no room for nuance, with both sides talking about different things and refusing to consider any other views. Mental health is often not discussed in this context, even though it may be a major factor in certain circumstances. As such, it is often best to stay out of politics. People always try to drag you into politics, but it can lead to unclear thinking if all of your beliefs fit neatly into one political party. Diseases of abundance, such as overexposure to society and entertainment, can lead to a need for asceticism and meditation in order to survive in modern society. Turning off distractions and learning to be alone can be a superpower that everyone can attain. Meditation is an art of doing nothing, allowing one to take time to process and reflect on their life experiences, including unresolved issues and regrets. It can be a powerful tool of self-therapy, but it requires dedication and discipline to do it correctly. In order to experience peace and happiness, it is important to sit down and allow the thoughts and issues that arise to be processed and worked through. Concentration on the breath is a technique that can help still the mind and allow one to reach a state of transcendence and enlightenment. Ultimately, meditation should lead to a state of peace and happiness. The best way to convert peace to happiness is to focus on internal changes and to lead with example. Rather than shouting on social media and trying to resolve external problems, take action that is meaningful, such as living a zero-waste lifestyle. Technology is also a key factor in creating a cleaner and healthier environment, and it is important to give credit to those who are working to make the world a better place. People will not give up economic growth, but can be encouraged to make positive changes by providing solutions that are appealing to them. Lowering the price of clean technologies through subsidies and innovation makes them cost competitive with traditional technologies. This could be done by companies like Tesla who give away their patents freely. It also involves educating people about the negative effects of petroleum-based products. There are new technologies which can turn plastic waste into fuel, making it a valuable commodity. However, this does not solve deforestation and carbon emissions. One solution to this could be ecotourism in the Amazon, where people from the first world put their money where their mouth is. Private property capitalism has been proven to work, although it should be temporary and not permanent property. Breaking down complex subjects and articulating them helps to fill in the gaps in thinking. It is important to understand basics of any subject rather than simply memorizing advanced concepts. It gives the example of how Richard Feynman was able to take someone from understanding numbers on their hands to understanding calculus in 4 pages. It suggests that memorization is an indication of not understanding something and suggests that people should make an attempt to understand things, and use tools such as Twitter to help them remember what they have understood. The meaning of life is whatever the individual chooses it to be, and this allows them to live a life of freedom. People often ask the question of what the meaning of life is, but this is difficult to answer as it often leads to infinite regress, circular reasoning, or an axiom such as God. However, it is important to note that these answers are not all-encompassing and do not trap an individual into a single way of living, as the individual is allowed to choose their own answer. The answer to the question of life's meaning is that it is paradoxical. While on the one hand we are each separate and unique, on the other hand we are connected to everything around us. The pursuit of this question can bring a level of peace and happiness, but these feelings can also be accentuated by unhappy lives, choices, and being trapped in situations. To achieve a sense of peace and freedom, it is possible to use money to save and live below your means, giving you the time and energy to pursue your own internal peace and happiness. Everyone can be rich if everyone is trained in science and engineering. This can be done with enough education and the right resources. The universe has an infinite supply of resources and technology is constantly evolving. Nuclear energy is the best way to provide power, but safety regulations need to be considered. With enough effort, everyone can be rich. Nuclear power has the potential to be a safe and efficient power source, with the development of Gen 4 reactors that are passively fail-safe. However, despite the potential to make money, it won't make people truly happy. Possessions don't bring happiness, and it's only through understanding and knowledge that true peace from the mind can be found. The pursuit of material possessions is a fundamental delusion, and ultimately, death is the great leveler. People often feel envious when they see someone else's luxurious lifestyle on social media. However, what they really want is freedom from their money problems. The most effective way of achieving this is by creating timeless principles, lowering one's lifestyle, or making enough money to be comfortable enough to retire. This can be done by either having a large savings, lowering one's burn rate, or doing something they love that is not motivated by money. Individuals can create their own personal brand and leverage their unique knowledge and skills in order to make more money. The key is to be authentic and to create something that society wants, but does not yet know how to get. People should be careful not to get trapped in a lifestyle that requires them to work a 40-hour-a-week job in order to maintain it. It is hard to attain wealth and success, and there are many traps to avoid along the way, such as giving in to peer pressure and giving yourself excuses. It is important to take risks and to have a positive outlook. Life is a single-player game and reality is neutral, and it is up to you to make your own meaning and success. No matter your age, life is short, and you have the choice to interpret experiences and stimulations in a way that leads to happiness. It is possible to condition yourself and make the right choices to become happier. Happiness is not just the result of money, it is more about forming the right habits and focusing on one desire at a time. It is an ongoing process that takes time, but each day can be better than the last. It is also a very personal journey. By understanding the power of positivity and the impact of conditioning, one can learn to be more mindful of their thoughts and reactions and work to release negative thoughts faster. Simple habits such as spending more time in nature, smiling and hugging more, and watching one's own thoughts can bring more joy and happiness. Being aware of the sources of negative thinking and understanding the root of conditioned responses can help to learn to not judge oneself and let go of unhelpful thoughts more quickly. People often have the desire to sound smart, especially young people. This can be a distraction, so it is important to assess whether one would still be interested in learning something if they could not tell anyone about it. It is common to suffer from this desire when young, and it is beneficial to break out of one's comfort zone. In order to do something great, it is important to be protective of one's time and be judicious in scheduling meetings. Business travel should also be avoided unless it is on a private jet. The conversation highlighted the importance of enjoying the present moment and not relying on an ulterior motive for happiness. It was suggested that anything which is sought after with an ulterior motive will not bring lasting happiness. Instead, embracing art, creativity, and learning will bring satisfaction. It was also noted that when something is achieved, it can quickly become mundane, and so it is important to constantly be learning and growing. Finally, it was suggested that success comes from enjoying one's work and putting in the effort required to succeed, rather than just working hard. Like and share and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and until the next one.